let's go, let's go.
2025 is looking to be one of Six Flags' larger years, with an amazing new lineup of brand new coasters on the way. But while the people near Six Flags Great America or Six Flags New England are excited, meanwhile in the Lone Star State, it's getting pretty quiet. When Six Flags announced their brand new attractions for 2025, two notable parks were left out, Six Flags Over Texas and Six Flags Fiesta Texas. Both amazing parks in the big state, leaving many with the question, what's next? This year's newest additions were all kiddie attractions, and the thrill seekers are hungering for something big. So what if I told you that the chance to receive a new coaster for both Over Texas and Fiesta Texas doesn't seem so impossible, and in fact, could happen in the span of just 2 years? Crazy, I know, but in today's video we're analyzing the chance of Over Texas and Fiesta Texas receiving one of their biggest investments yet in just a few years. But before we get started, if you're new here, welcome to the channel for all those thrill seekers. On JV Thrills, we make all sorts of content related to theme parks and thrill rides no matter where they're located. And if you're specifically a Texas enthusiast, this is your #1 source of all Texas theme park news. So if that interests you, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe and tap the notification bell to know when new videos drop on my channel, which can also help me on my road to 10,000 subscribers. And for my current subscribers, I seriously appreciate all of y'all. Without further ado, let's get into today's video. Both Six Flags Over Texas and Fiesta Texas are amazing theme parks in the Lone Star State, showcasing an amazing collection of rides and attractions, something for the whole family to do, and specifically those thrill seekers. But when it comes to thrill rides in the Lone Star State, we could definitely use a little more. Now of course, that's not to say that Texas isn't impressive when it comes to roller coasters, as we were the ones that invented mine trains and the first ever wood steel hybrid from RMC. But stats wise, we're not that impressive. In the East Coast alone, you have so many states that are home to so many memorable coasters, leaving a mark in the coaster community. Texas, on the other hand, has very memorable coasters, but not many big ones to choose from. Our current tallest coaster in the state is Titan at Over Texas, a similar attraction to Goliath at Magic Mountain, and that ride's considered average in California, with so many competing coasters in that park alone. So why is Texas like this? Well, it wasn't a prime investment. Both Over Texas and Fiesta Texas were family parks only, and over the years they got more thrill rides. But if you compare it to Magic Mountain, it was already extreme from the get-go with lots and lots of coasters to choose from. Now, are there any rules against huge coasters? No. Height-wise in North Texas, it's not a problem. And space-wise, it's Texas with lots of space. So hypothetically, if you have enough money, both Fiesta Texas and Over Texas could receive major additions no problem if they wanted to. But if they wanted to, wouldn't it be risky because no one has done it before? Not exactly. Maybe in the past, but currently, there's been lots of new investments popping up around Texas. And we're specifically talking about the theme park industry. We have Universal planting a whole new theme park in Frisco, Texas, and a small out-of-nowhere theme park, Codaland in Austin, Texas, receiving a tilt coaster and unique Gerstlauer coaster. So if we don't have big coasters and we need it, we have the space and the height to do one, and other parks are jumping onto the trend. Shouldn't Six Flags do the same? Yes, and my theory is they will. You see, Six Flags notices these things, and it's very clear that Over Texas and Fiesta Texas have potential to make lots of money, and for Fiesta Texas specifically, even more money, as they're one of the most profiting Six Flags parks in the entire chain. Why do you think they received a dive coaster? Or how they're getting a giant new expansion for their kids area? Over Texas got left behind a little bit, but this year their Hurricane Harbor just across the street is getting one of the biggest investments in the park's history, and clearly Six Flags is eyeing Texas, which leads to my theory. Both of these parks will be receiving something major in just 2 years. How can I possibly predict this? Let me explain. Like I said, 2024 was a lackluster year for both Over Texas and Fiesta Texas. Both the parks received kiddie attractions or family attractions. And for 2025, we're not receiving anything new as of now. To an outsider, they might say that Six Flags left these parks behind and don't care about them. But it's quite the opposite. There's clear signs that Six Flags wants to invest in both Over Texas and Fiesta Texas. To name just a few examples, this year Six Flags Over Texas was supposed to get a different attraction. The original idea was a transformation of El Asadero, the park's log flume, into the world's longest log flume, El Rio Lento, and it was going to be a pricey project, but eventually got scrapped for these new kiddie attractions. And to many, including me, it seemed at first like terrible planning, which it maybe could have been, but if we're looking on the positives, the idea was there and they wanted to honor Over Texas and invest a lot into it, but it clearly was too much for them to handle. At Fiesta Texas, these kiddie attractions are actually more than they seem. The park desperately needed something for their families, and they seriously went all out with a huge transformation that cost a lot. proving once again they want to invest in Fiesta Texas and over Texas. And while kiddie attractions and no new attraction for 2025 seem like they're not investing, in reality they're saving. Six Flags has come a long way from adding new attractions at every single park every single year. While it seemed like a good idea at the start, it was quantity over quality, and just cloned attractions with no care for the individual parks. Not to mention, it wasn't financially stable, and when COVID hit, Six Flags finally realized it. So switching to fewer parks getting new rides allows for bigger investments, explaining why Great America and New England received these giant new coasters. And if we're predicting that maybe 2 to 3 Six Flags parks get something big every year, I want to say that in 2026, those parks will be over Texas and Fiesta Texas. And here's my reasoning. Number 1, it's been a while since both parks have received a major coaster. For Fiesta Texas, Kid Flash does not count. So if we're counting Dr. Diabolicals, they received their coaster in 2022, meaning by 2026 it'll be 4 years for a whole new coaster. And as we saw when Jeffrey Seabird, the park president of Fiesta Texas, was teasing the new additions, he explained that building a new coaster takes 4 to 5 years, perfectly in line for a brand new ride at Fiesta Texas. For over Texas, it's been a lot longer. Aquaman Power Wave opened in 2023, which might seem recent, but in reality this is a 2020 coaster that got delayed for 3 years straight, meaning it'll be 6 years since Over Texas received an original new coaster. Plenty of time for the higher-ups to have lots of ideas for a new coaster at the park. And some might say, well, the merger just happened and screwed up all the plans. Not exactly. There can be lots of ideas on the drawing board for both Fiesta Texas and Over Texas, and all Cedar Fair has to do is pick one they like. Number 2, everyone's investing in Texas. Like I said, Coda Land and Universal Studios is adding lots of new things in the Lone Star State, and they're mainly family things, which can explain the focus on families this year in 2024. But these two parks have to keep their title of having the most extreme attractions. So what makes sense for something big for both these parks in 2026 that thrills riders and is the perfect fit for both these parks? Number 3, Over Texas and Fiesta Texas are known to get new coasters close to each other. Some examples in history are the additions of New Texas Giant in 2011 and Iron Rattler in 2013, just 2 years apart. And when Over Texas got Aquaman in 2020, one could definitely assume the Dr. Diabolical's cliffhanger was planned for 2021, but due to COVID got pushed back to 2022. So typically, Fiesta Texas and Over Texas are really close in years when it comes to adding a new coaster. And with both of them getting nothing new in 2025, or at least nothing big in 2025, it essentially holds them together for a double investment in 2026 that'll have 2 major coasters in Texas. Plus the timing is perfect as 2026 will be the World Cup in North America. And while for Texas it's mainly focused in North Texas, these major investments will draw in customers and it's the prime time for Six Flags to make money. But since we got this theory out of the way, what exactly are these big coasters and where are they going to go? Well, first let's talk about Over Texas. This park has definitely needed something new and huge for the longest time. Our last truly standout attraction was New Texas Giant in 2011, and ever since then it's been clones or hand-me-downs. And while Aquaman was a great addition, it's not a full circuit coaster that'll become a new standout. So when it comes to something new and huge, the positive side is Over Texas definitely has the room. There is so many spots for a potential new coaster. With Harley Quinn's Insanity now gone, leaving a giant piece of space next to Joker, a whole new area could be installed, with a new highlighting coaster right next to the freeway. There's also the abandoned Music Mill Amphitheater that no one uses, and could eventually be torn down for space for a giant new coaster. If you want to go another route, next to Titan there's also lots of room for a coaster that can overlap the pathways and become a new scenic masterpiece. And while there are so many options for coasters in my home park that I want, I cut it down to 3. Starting with the best fit and most likely, I would love to see a multi-launch coaster. While yes, we do have Aquaman and Mr. Freeze, a complete circuit launch coaster is not the same as these 2 coasters, and will offer something completely different and bring more of a thrill. If we get something along the lines of Alpen Fury coming to Canada's Wonderland next year, it would truly be a highlighting coaster for Over Texas. You could have it go over the pathways with unique elements or inversions, also containing multiple launches, maybe a reverse launch or something like that. If they want to go even further, they can maybe even add a dueling coaster, being the first ever dueling launch coaster in Texas, and again a standout. But that one can definitely be a little too much, and the Alpen Fury type coaster will be better, as long as it has capacity. Option 2 is what's been rumored for Over Texas for the longest time, which is the B&M coaster. There's been lots of speculation of canceled coasters that were supposed to come to Over Texas, and in those theories, both included either a B&M dive coaster or a B&M wing, which for the wing I wouldn't be opposed to if it was a unique layout. The B&M dive is a little bit iffy as we already have Fiesta Texas with theirs, and it would make Over Texas unique. The supposed rumors that there's supposed to be a B&M dive coaster where the Music Mill Amphitheater currently is, and it's supposed to dive into the freeway, also being an icon as you drive past Over Texas. The B&M wing is supposed to start where Titan is and intersect with the pathways. Both would look cool in Over Texas for sure, but I'd rather see the multi-launch. As for option 3, is definitely the craziest one and possibly the least likely of happening, but it just makes sense, and that's a B&M Giga. If Six Flags really wanted to invest in Over Texas, a Giga is the coaster the park needs. Something like Fury 325 would not only make a new standout for the park, but attract even more guests from around the world to visit this coaster. Fury 325 did a lot when it came to attendance for Carowinds, and so did many other Gigas. Plus, with no height limit in the area, they could do something really special with this coaster. And a crazy theory in mind is that it could be located where the Gotham City section currently is, with its lift hill going into the park, and the entire layout just being over the park, saving lots of space, but also providing an amazing view to all the guests. Or it could be located next to Titan. Either way, those are my top 3, and if we get lucky, one of those is bound to happen. For Fiesta Texas, it's a little bit different. Starting with option 1, we have a B&M Mini Hyper. When everyone was predicting the new for 2024 attraction for Fiesta Texas, this coaster was listed a bunch. Unlike Over Texas, Fiesta Texas does have a high limit when it comes to bigger coasters, so they couldn't install a Giga. So by doing the Mini Hyper route, it would comply with the regulations and still provide a unique coaster for the park, as one of the rides the park is missing. As for where it'll be located, many predicted that Pandemonium will be the next attraction to leave Fiesta Texas. And if that's the case, there's room for the B&M Mini Hyper. But the problem is it will be a basic out and back layout, and it's risky that it wouldn't be a good addition for Fiesta Texas. Leading to option 2, an indoor coaster. Pretty recently, Six Flags put out a survey of possible coasters they want to see. And even though it wasn't Fiesta Texas specifically, they did play around with the idea of an indoor coaster. And to be honest, it does make sense at Fiesta Texas. They currently do not have one, and they have the space to install one. I'm thinking if they use the Zaragoza Theater, you could have a brand new coaster in the front of the park next to Boomerang, adding more to Los Festivales area, and if it's something like Dark Coaster at Busch Gardens, it would totally make sense. Plus, knowing Jeffrey Siebert and knowing Fiesta Texas, they love their theming, and a coaster themed to a Fiesta that's completely indoors would definitely be a field day for them. As for the coaster model, it could definitely differ, but I could see a straddle coaster, or maybe, just maybe, a modern Vekoma that even inverts. But remember, it's just a theory. As for option 3, just like Over Texas, we have the most far-fetched idea, but it would make sense, and that's an SNS AIS Coaster. While we haven't heard of any SNS AISs coming to America, if there was a Six Flags park that would receive it and have the highest chances of getting one, it's definitely Fiesta Texas. They're known to be a testing ground of brand new attractions and aren't afraid to take risks. I could definitely see Pandemonium getting scrapped and the new SNS AIS Coaster going right there. Plus, with all that space, and even using the space where the Hell Valley Cemetery is usually used for Fright Fest, you have tons of room for an SNS AIS. Again, a really far-fetched idea, but it just makes sense. But no matter how much I talk about these coasters or what I want to see, it's all a theory. So before you go into the comments starting saying, oh man, this is super far-fetched, and this guy doesn't know economics, it's all for the fun of it. I would definitely love to see these type of coasters come to Over Texas and Fiesta Texas, and I do want to hope that 2026 could be that year. But we'll just never know. Maybe it really is just budget cuts. Or maybe it's this. We don't know. Regardless, what do you think? Is it possible that Fiesta Texas and Over Texas could receive something big in 2026? Or do you have a different thought? Comment down below. If you want to see more predictions like this and enjoyed today's video, be sure to like button, subscribe, and tap the notification bell to know when new videos come out on my channel and see more of these. Thank you for watching, and this is JV Thrills signing out.